السلام عليكم أعزائي طلاب المرحلة الأولى في قسم اللغة الإنجليزية في كلية الآداب والجامعة المستنصرية. معكم الدكتور أثير عبدالهادي رشيد. I'm going to give a lecture on lesson number 1 and lesson number 2 of the rapid review of English grammar for first year students. In this lecture, we're going to talk about verb, grammatical constructions of yes and no questions and information questions, and extend our lecture to simple present tense and how grammatical constructions are used, especially when it comes to using yes no questions and information questions as well. Look at this slide. So, sentence patterns. What is a sentence? A sentence is the basic unit of any language. To speak and write correctly, we must know how to put words together in the proper order to make statements and questions. In each lesson, we will look at some patterns of English sentences. If you follow the patterns carefully, your sentences will be correct. This is a sentence pattern example. Statements with verb be. A statement could be affirmative and could be negative. What do we mean by verb be? Verb be is here, is, isn't, are, aren't. Is and are the affirmative case of verb be. Isn't and aren't are the negative ones. Look at the word order, how these sentences are constructed. So they start with a subject, a noun, like Mr. Allen, pronoun, like it, he, they, or a demonstrative, like this. The subject is followed by verb be, plus not in the case of negative. After verb be comes the complement. The complement here consists of 5 elements: an article, a or an, and an adjective like big, green, English, etc. A noun like book, professor, etc. Place, here, away, and time. This is a big book. It is green. Mr. Allen is an English professor. He isn't here now. He is away. Note that it is not always that the complement elements are available in each sentence. So in a sentence like, this is a big book, the place and time elements are absent. In a sentence like, he is away, there is no article, no adjective, no noun, and no time. So it depends on the sentence. How to make yes-no questions with verb be? I said that verb be is either is, isn't, are, aren't. Whenever we try to make a yes-no question, we need to relocate or change the position of the auxiliary and put it at the very beginning of a sentence. So these are the auxiliaries at the beginning of these yes-no questions. Is Mr. Allen here now? Isn't he away? Are his students young? Aren't they freshmen? Is George a foreign student? Isn't that George there? Note that after the auxiliary is or are, isn't or aren't, here comes the subject. So the auxiliary is followed by subject, noun, pronoun, or a demonstrative. Then after the subject comes the complement. We said that the complements here could be consisting of 5 elements: article, adjective, noun, place, and time. One might ask, why do we call it a yes-no question? A yes-no question requires a yes or no response. So in a question like, is Mr. Allen here now? You can answer, no he isn't, or yes he is. Isn't that George there? Yes it is, or no it isn't. For this reason it is called yes-no question. On the other hand, we have information questions with verb be. Why do we call them information questions? They are called information questions because yes or no are not sufficient as responses. We need to give details as responses. For example, what is a foreign student? When someone asks me, what is a foreign student? I cannot respond to his question with yes or no, because the speaker, the person who asks the question, needs details or information from me. Any information question begins with a question word, and these question words are determined by the elements in the complement. For example, what is determined by something. Who is determined by a human subject or human object. Where is determined by place. When is determined by time. Who needs or requires a human subject or object. So after the question word comes verb, the verb. Here in this case we have verb be. Then the subject, which consists of an article, adjective, noun, or a noun, maybe, like and he, and where is he, or where is George. Then the complement, which consists of place and time, here, now. So what is a foreign student? What is the question word, followed by verb be, and the subject, a foreign student. There is no complement. Who is George? Who is the question word, is the verb be, and George is the noun. Where is he now? So where is the question word, followed by verb be, and the noun as the subject, and now, which is a part of the time complement. When was he here? When refers to time, followed by auxiliary was, and noun he, then here, which refers to time. Who is here now? Who refers to subject, or which is a human subject or human object, followed by is, and here refers to place, and now refers to time as part of the complement. Singular question, plural answer. Note particularly the last question in the box above. Who is here now? Who is here? Jack and Bill. The verb form is singular. Who is singular, but the answer may be plural. Who is here? Jack and Bill. The verb in the question is always singular, unless the subject contains a plural word, as in who are those girls. Uses of verb be. In English, be is used to express some situations which are expressed by different verbs or by no verb at all. In other languages, use be to tell about the following situations. Here we are given 8 situations: profession, trade, and occupation. And Mr. Allen is a professor. Betty is a student. So professor is an occupation. Student also an occupation. Or a professor could be a profession or occupation. Student is occupation rather than a profession. Nationality. Bill is American. George is Greek. So both American and Greek refer to nationality. Age. George is 20. This book is old. So 20 and old are related to age. Characteristics. Bill is serious. Jack is carefree. So both adjectives, serious and carefree, are related to the nature of Bill and Jack. So they are type of his characteristics. Condition. Mr. Allen is ill. This page is torn. So how is Allen? He is ill. So it's his condition to be ill. How does this book look? Or how does this page look? It looks torn. So its condition is being torn. Size and shape. Mr. Allen is tall. It's his size. This book is big. Also size or shape. Color. This book is green. The print is black. So green and black are types of colors. Place. Professor Allen is here. Sulio is away. So the words here and away refer to place. So these are the 8 conditions or uses. These are the 8 uses of verb be. So in the test, I could ask you, give me an example of verb be as expressing condition, or use verb be to express nationality, or use verb be to express characteristics. So we'll give one of these examples. Here we have some sentences. We try to change them now into yes/no questions. We said that to change a statement like any one of these into a yes/no question, we need to change the position of the auxiliary. So we put the auxiliary at the very beginning. So here's the auxiliary: is. Here there are questions. Are is the auxiliary. So in Sulio is Chinese, we change the position of is and put it at the beginning. Sulio is Chinese. Is Sulio Chinese? And add a question mark. Her room is large. We take is to the beginning. Her room is large. It will be, is her room large? There are questions. So we take are to the very beginning. Are there questions? And put a question word. Now how to make an information question. So in this case, in these similar examples we refer to, So Sulio is Chinese. We need to begin the information question with a question word. So if the subject is underlined, which makes it an unknown subject, so Sulio, so the underlined word determines the choice or the selection of the question word. So which question word suits or is suitable for Sulio? It's who, because Sulio is a human subject. Who is Chinese? So Sulio is Chinese. Let's underline her room. Her room is something, so we need to put what? Her room is large. What is large? Her room is large. The questions are here. Let's underline here. Here is, since the word here refers to place, so we need a place word. Where? Where are the questions? The questions are here. Let's choose the sentence. The picnic is at the picnic. The picnic is at noon. So since the word at noon refers to time, we need a time word. When? So when is the picnic? When is the picnic? The picnic is at noon. Now we move to another tense, the simple present tense. The simple present tense is not very descriptive name. It is not at all simple, since it requires the use of S forms. So when the subject of a sentence in the simple present tense is singular, we need to add the third person singular S to the main verb, as well as simple forms, the ones you find in a dictionary. It doesn't express present activity either. For that we need another tense. The continuous present sentences with present tense verbs and express repeated, etc. So this tense, the simple present tense, expresses repeated customary and habitual actions. What people are used to do, what people are used to have, what people are used to be. Like water runs downhill. So water is the subject. Runs is the main verb with the S form, third person singular S. Downhill is the complement, which is a place. So note that we added S to the main verb because the subject is singular, water. So it, water, it runs downhill. So it is something that happens every day. Water runs downhill. In affirmative statement pattern. So statements could be affirmative, مثبتة, could be negative, منفية. So this is the word order or the statement pattern of an affirmative statement. Jack lives in a dormitory. Note that the main verb has S form. He gets up at 7 o'clock. He eats breakfast in the dormitory at 7:30. The Allens have breakfast at home. Note that we added the S form to lives, gets up, and eats because the subjects are singular. Jack, he. See? But in the case of the Allens, when we have a plural subject, we need to give the simple form of the verb or the abstract form of the verb. الفعل مجرد. The Allens have. ما يصير نقول. You can't say the Allens has. Auxiliary do. We said that in order to make a yes/no question, we need to add or provide our sentence with an auxiliary, like is, are, when we are talking about the verb be. In the case of simple present tense, we need to add do or don't. So these are the contraction forms of do and don't. Do, don't is the contraction form. Does, doesn't. These are the contraction forms. The negative statement pattern. In the case of a negative statement, we have to add or provide our sentences with auxiliary. Does, or in the case of a plural, of a singular subject, or don't in the case of a plural subject. Bill doesn't live in a dormitory. He doesn't have classes on Tuesdays. Jack and Bill don't work in the lab on Saturdays. Note that after doesn't or don't, the main verb should be simple. We can't say Bill doesn't lives or he doesn't has, because we have does. After does, we should give the abstract form of the verb, فعل المجرد. After does or after don't. Yes/no question patterns. So in the case of yes/no questions, we need to start our questions with an auxiliary like does or doesn't, do or don't. Does Jack eat breakfast in the dorm at 7:30? Doesn't he see his friends then? Do the Allens get up early? Don't they have breakfast at night? Note that the word order starts with an auxiliary, does, then followed by the subject and the main verb. In this case, the main verb should be simple because we have does and do, doesn't and don't. Does eat, doesn't see, do get up. So we don't have to add S forms to eat and see. In the case of information question patterns, we have something important to talk about. Only when the subject is unknown, we don't have to add an auxiliary after the question word. So, who takes chemistry? We don't say who does take chemistry. Who works in the lab on Saturdays? We don't say who does work in the lab on Saturdays. What amuses Jack, not what does amuse Jack. What relaxes Bill, not what does relax Bill. Because that's because the subject is unknown. That's only in the affirmative case. فقط في حالة المثبت. In the negative case, we have to add an auxiliary after the question word. So who doesn't take chemistry? Who doesn't do homework? what doesn't disturb the Allens. Note that after does or doesn't, the main verb should be in the affirmative, should be in the simple form or the abstract form. When part of the complement is unknown, who does Betty see in the lab? What doesn't Bill like? Where do the Allens live? When don't they entertain guests? Note that who is used to refer to human subject or human object. What refers to something. Where refers to a place. When refers to time. So who does Betty see? After this question word, and when the part of the complement is unknown, we need to add an auxiliary. Who does, what doesn't, where do, when don't. When the verb is unknown, here we have to pay attention, because when the verb is unknown, underlined or italicized, we have to start the question with what only. And then we substitute the main verb with do. What does Jack do on Saturdays? He goes to church. What doesn't Bill do on Saturdays? He doesn't go to the movies. What do the Allens do for recreation? They go to the park. So, two things we should do when the verb is unknown. We start the information question with what and change the main verb with do.